Greetings. Thank you for your presence. We are within the waxing of the full moon in Aries. The moon's been in Aries for just over 24 hours now, and we're actually feeling into what will be the culmination or the full lunation of this cycle in just under 24 hours. In this broadcast, we shall look at the chart, all of the academics, all of the aspects, what it means, the depth of our story, as well as be pulling cards for each of the 12 signs as we go through this. So thank you for your presence. This is a very powerful time. We are actually currently recognizing that this is 18 months since we had the new moon in Aries, where the whole world went into an unprecedented lockdown. And on that day, it was both that the Queen, which is the monarch of the throne, the mint of the coin, the economy, and that is the rulership over the city of London. She bowed out of the palace, the Buckingham Palace. It was a bit of a ritual. The same day, the Pope also bowed out of Rome, the Vatican. This is a big ritual for such a thing to take place, because Rome is really where so many astrological books have been stashed. And so we've got so much knowledge that has been hidden. And through this totalitarian footstep since, well, through time in general, but particularly this past 735 years, since was the last time we had Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter in Capricorn. So this is very important because we've been through that transit. It's a bit like we've gone into the beginning of the cycle, which began way back into the 1300s. And now we're looking at this integration of what we believe about Capricornian structures, what we buy into with regards to government, patriarchal, enforced structures, and do they share any wisdom? Excuse the noise. I can hear the old sirens going. But what are sirens? Sirens are like these governmental structures, like cathedrals, like temples, that keep us stuck into time because they're like talismans, like a paper note. They keep us stuck in a certain current, a certain frame of reference. But we are recognizing since 2020, when we had Pluto, since we've had Pluto since 2008, and we had Saturn since 2017, and then Jupiter came in at the end of 2019. And so basically throughout 2020, for the vast majority of it, we had Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter in Capricorn. And that was the last time that had happened was 735 years ago. So when we had the new moon in Aries 18 months ago, it was actually that new moon, which we shall look at on the screen, was when we had Mars in a conjunction with Pluto. It takes Mars 100 weeks to go around the whole zodiac, and Mars rules Aries. Mars is currently traveling with the sun, has been for a little while, and it's kind of opposite this full moon. It's currently making a trine to Jupiter, but the day after the full moon in Aries, Mars shall make its closing square to Pluto, which is in Capricorn, which only stationed direct the other day. Pluto's up the deeper vibrational frequency octave of the root chakra that is Mars. And it's going through Capricorn. Since the banks collapsed in 2008, it's the reformation of all these different support structures that are meant to support us within society, all the governmental structures, the education systems, all of these types of things. And so what we're looking at is that we've had these different medias, these different patriarchal establishments which have been running society for quite some time. We've seen it documented, we've spoken about it. I mean, I was doing these videos with Lada about this on this channel in 2017. And we were talking about this way before the pandemic, whatever you have, that we've lived through. And so it was actually that the conjunction took place March 22nd, 2020. And since then, Mars has traveled 270 degrees around the zodiac, and it's having its closing square to Pluto the day after the full lunation in Aries, which Mars rules. And that full lunation is actually in a square, T-square, with Pluto. And the moon itself will be in a conjunction with the asteroid Eris, which has been squaring Pluto for the past couple of years. Eris being the goddess of strife. It's the goddess that would roll in a golden apple of truth that would rock the boat. I said it would rock the boat because it's actually a truth that is beyond death. If Eris is on a 500-year cycle and Pluto's on a 240-year cycle, this means that Eris is beyond death. It's truth which is so far out that we're only just fathoming the depth of this type of consciousness. And this consciousness is beyond time, like Uranus is beyond time. Pluto and death, they're beyond time. Saturn's the boundary of time within Capricorn. And so now we're looking to include some kind of things into a new norm, a context. We're putting things into context that haven't actually been included within the box, within Pandora's box. And so we're learning a whole lot about ourself, which is what Aries is. We're learning a whole lot about our identities and about the identifications of society. And because we have had the opportunity since the world went into that unprecedented lockdown, if we look at it from an advanced perspective rather than a victimhood perspective, let's look at it from a high octave, deep octave, rich frequency perspective. You and I, we've had opportunities. Life's a lot better since the world went into lockdown, you could consider, because what we've had the opportunity to do is to come into our gifts, to exclude ourselves from things that don't serve us, like these patriarchal systems, governments maybe, or their education system, to be able to actually leave jobs that maybe make us feel a little bit kind of like we're not doing what we enjoy, which is what Aries is all about. It's what Mars is all about. It's about pursuing things that give us that innocent spark of joy, enthusiasm. RAM is what Aries is. It's the RAM. And the acronym for RAM, as dear brother Santos Bonacci would say, is right ascension of meridian, because it is to fold in on self. It's a cosmological, metaphysical expression to give yourself exactly what you need, to fold into the interior rather than to be stuck out in the exterior, in the patriarchal. That's what self does. That's what Christ crystal consciousness does. It goes to love itself first. I mean, you don't have to ask Aries about it. Mars and Aries, they got a direction in life. They're just going straight for it. Like when the sun rises at 6 in the morning, it dawns upon us that we've got a motive. We've got a pursuit, and it's called our passion. And this is what we go after to bring us joy. So what I am suggesting is that we've all found the opportunity to be a founder, to be a foundation, to be the embankment of love for ourselves, and to go after what brings us our joy, to pursue our hobbies, to make them our crafts, to ensure that actually these things that we're following in our day-to-day activities activate us and give us our own fortune, because they're fortuitous. They open up a portal. We can even relax. Don't even have to work hard when you enjoy what you do, because it gives you a certain frequency that makes you very attractive, compelling. You draw all the things in with your heart's vision towards you when you're doing what you enjoy, when you love yourself enough not to do things that make you feel kind of stuck, stagnant and stale. Stuck, stagnant and stale is Pluto. There's all bits of ourselves that are still stuck. There's all bits of ourselves that are still unrecognized and stagnant. It's like water that's not flowing, energy that hasn't been peered into, gazed into, taken responsibility for. And so when we look at our Pluto, we're looking at a toilet that's not been flushed. We're looking at kind of a moat that isn't really flowing. It's thick, full of the muck. And so how can we trudge through these things? How can we get these dams to flow? How can we remove the block so that we can open up a portal to quantum elevation, so that we can actually find it's not as hard as it seems? And if we gaze back over the course of our 18 months journey here, since the since the conjunction of Mars to Pluto, since the world went into the lockdown, that new moon that we had in a conjunction with Chiron, and Black Moon Lilith, and it was square the node. So that new moon, the world's lockdown, was a missed karmic evolutionary step for all of humanity, and we've been through it. We've been through the mill. We've been through the ringer. We've been through the eye. of self. And it's this opportunity to recognize who we are that we were gifted. And so we can recognize that we're empowered. You've been through empowerment, and there's only a little bit more to go. Mars will swing round and meet Pluto again by February. And it will be actually that all planets pretty much will be out of shadow. Even Venus would have finished its retrograde, which we will cover in detail in the coming weeks. And so we can recognize that there will be a Mars-Pluto-Venus conjunction. And we'll look at all this on the screen in a moment. And that's when Mars will close these last 90 degrees out. And that'll be a whole new cycle. So if we've been as far as we've got in 270 degrees in 18 months, in these next 5 months, consider what you can move for yourself. Consider what blockages you're able to undo, what knots, how you can recognize and empower yourself to the depth of who you truly are and put yourself as the lead in command. Put yourself as the authority, as your own boss, who gives yourself the opportunity to be sovereign. I'm able to empower you to your own natal chart. If you're interested in having a consultation with me, you can find all the links that you need in the description box of this video. And you can book a consultation and we can arrange a mutually beneficial time to connect off the back of this full moon or something like that. I'm sure we can find the appropriate timing. You can get yourself a 1 hour, was it 90 minutes here you can for $333, or you can have yourself a 2-hour progressed chart reading, which is really deep, going into all of your cycles. I would only recommend the progressed chart reading if you've already had a consultation with your natal chart. These are obviously very valuable investments in yourself. You can have a quick transit reading if that's what you would like to do. I do advise that you do go for the deep dive, though, because this is an investment with yourself where we can really go into the depth of your personal chart. And I'm only here as a guide, as a reflection, to remind you and give you back the recognition that you've got all the keys, you've got all the frequencies, you've got all the planets in your chart. And I'm just your host, your guide, to recognize that you can know your chart a little bit more and follow your transits through the course of the coming years. Right, without further ado, I'm going to get into the presentation on the screen. I see you in the live chat, Cinderella, Ella, hey, I see you there. Thank you for your presence, as well as Yana. I'm appreciative of you. I'm actually doing a workshop. I'm over here in Mexico. I'm doing a workshop here tomorrow while the full moon's taking place. I've got these charts to give out to all of the people that are attending. It's going to be taking place at a beautiful hotel here on the beach, in the Mayan Riviera. And so it's brilliant. I'm able to do these workshops. We're going to be doing more kind of things online with you guys as well. Obviously do offer the astrology mentorship. Any of the time that you purchase, basically, in your readings through Astrolada, I'm here to service you. So I'll do whatever you would like me to be able to do within the time that you purchase. I'm here at your service. Without further ado, let me get this on the screen. I see you, Tonya Bell. I'm grateful for each one of you. Intending you having a fantastic Mars's Day. This is the day of the Ram. It's the day of Mars. They even call it Martes over here in Mexico. And so it's the day where we're really feeling into self. This is why I'm wearing red, because we've got to feel into what activates ourselves and do things to really bring ourselves along. After relaxing on the moon's day, lunaires, that's really where we want to nurture ourselves and take it easy. Love's already won. Yes, Rochelle. Love wins every single time. And we are that love that which we seek. So when we find ourselves and go within, we're really activating ourselves. This is the current sky. And we do have the moon building into a opposition with Mars at this time. And that moon is waxing. It started out its lunar cycle in a conjunction with Mars. Let's go back and look at that. Let's just take a little travel back. And we can see the moon on its first quarter there with Pluto in Capricorn, but it was actually back here in Libra where we had the new moon in a conjunction with Mars. And Libra's all about our perspective. It's all about that which we lend our eye. It's actually the time of day which is the sunset. It's the 7th sign. It's the 7th sign, meaning it's the second half of the zodiac, which meaning it's giving us a level of perception which is beyond the surface level. But yet often we're just little individuals. It feels like we can be really insignificant, right? You and I, individually, in these little flesh suits, incarnated, but actually we're the whole of creation. Although we're equal to one another, no one's above us, no one's beneath us. Not even the rock stars or the movie stars or the politicians. No one's above us or beneath us, not even the oligarchs or the philanthropists. No one's beneath us or above us. So when we can recognize these types of qualities, we can come into better equality. We can recognize ourselves and love each other equally. This is a real big practice when we feel so insignificant, only one of us, billions of everyone else. Billions of everyone else, only one of us can make us feel really insignificant. So we have to love ourselves every single day. We have to remind ourselves and play. We have to play the starring role and remember that our cast are very supporting to us. Everybody around us support us to remind us who we are, because everybody's a mirror, a reflection of who we are. Their frequency is a reflection of our interior, where maybe we've got to love a little bit more. So if anything's a little bit upsetting outside, we've got to love ourselves inside a little bit more. If anything's a little bit jarring and intimidating, we can show up and have the courage to love ourselves a whole lot more. We can love outside as well. We've got the opportunity to bounce between the two. That's called ambiance. I mean, om. We return back to the center space and we say, hey, I'm a centaur, just like Chiron. I'm the centaur, the spirit incarnated into the flesh, just like the fool. It's a little bit awkward. It's a little bit quirky, encompassing, bringing it all with us, remembering that we are the whole. But gosh darn it, you're worthy of remembering that every single day. And it's a practice that we do have to keep doing. It's a daily practice, just like being a doctor. We are the doctors of time, because doctor means to change. And so if we took a look at Pluto, which stationed direct the day of the new moon in Libra, and now the full moon, if we go back to it, is squaring Pluto 2 weeks later. Let's go back. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Here we are. And in a conjunction with Eris. This is about recognizing the unspoken truths, recognizing things that are maybe a bit awkward and a hindrance, but they're worthy of including. Things that make us feel maybe less than can be very empowering to us. Things where we've maybe felt small could actually be some of our greatest medicine for our healing journey. And so what we've got to recognize is that with this T-square going on, with Eris, the moon, Mars, and the sun, they're opposite. And what's opposite about? It's this 180-degree angle. It's this opposition. And what comes with opposition is either a breaking point, it's a point, it's a malefic angle, or a virtuous compromise. Not a compromise of self, but a fair quality, an equality, an acceptance, a compassionate compromise, a Libran, Venetian kind of compromise. And so what we're looking at is there's always opportunities to give way and to fold in and to find love. And that's an assertion. That's an assertion. Full moons are often endings and completion phases. And so are third quarter square angles with Mars squaring Pluto. And so we can see that this is an ending of something that we've been working at ending for quite a while. Maybe it's a myriad, a reflection of many different endings. I'll give you an example, a few examples for me. I started to learn the guitar over a while ago. I've got one here. I lost it a little while ago, and now I can start practicing again. I think I bought my last one when Mars was in Aries. Now I've got this one. And so that's me finishing the job that I started. But also, my grandmother, she's 90, and I think she's passing away right now. So these endings make way, and sometimes they're necessary. Also, I've come a long way with regards to my astrology. I'm out here in Mexico, a whole different country, and from that I was used to being in. And now I'm doing these workshops, which was some of my ambitions for years. And so with regards to Mars returning, for you and I, these examples are that we've come so far. How many more boxes can we tick off to really take us to the next echelon, to the next level, to the next layer of our story? How can we empower ourselves and cut ourselves free from any hindrances that maybe made us feel too vulnerable to step out on a bigger, grander stage? Maybe we can find even parts that we were trying to hide, that we were embarrassed about, we can actually bring to the fore and include, and find that they're very empowering for us as well. Obviously, in the big world scene, it's a bit more malefic than that right now. It's a bit more tense than this, what I'm talking about, all of our lovely opportunities that we have as individuals. Yes, in the micro, as individuals, we've got a whole lot of empowerment that we can gift ourselves, a whole lot of authority that we can gift ourselves when we're placing our attention on ourselves and each other that we support, and each other, our cast that support us, together with all of this Aquarian energy, the most since the 60s, with Saturn and Jupiter having the great conjunction there for the first time in 800 years. The air trigons we are now within. This is nothing like we've ever lived within our current lifetimes. So we're pioneers, you and I. We're earthing this new current. And it rocks. It's rocking the boat like Eris would get the apple cart to be rocked. We're rocking the boat because we are saying, hey, we ain't having these support structures promise us things that don't work for us anymore. We ain't having these things, these false promises, these lies, these mediocrities, these patriarchal structures that don't serve us, that haven't never really served us, that have contorted us and squeezed us. But actually, we're not victims. That's awoken us. We've awoken to see that we are our own masters. There is no Lord above us. We can step into our own mastery, and we have done again and again and again. So Pluto in Capricorn is our empowerment, squaring the Sun and Mars, squaring the Moon and Eris. It's our self-empowerment. The truth is that we've been a little negligent to it. I can recognize I've been a little negligent stepping into fullness with regards to dietary habits. You know, we're all self-sabotage in some areas of our lives, but I recognize I've come a long way too. And there's only a few little changes to move to clear that kind of blemish up. And so we can recognize that we've come a long way within so many alternatives to the systems that actually make us feel so much less than. These alternatives we can flourish within, different gardens, different education systems that we can self-organize that aren't encouraging what Mars represents, which we know is that jab. It's like a pinch, punch, ow, I really feel that this is actually getting enough now. I don't want to be knocked unconscious anymore. I want to awaken my consciousness. And so we can recognize that we excuse ourselves. And sometimes we can recognize that this is a permission slip we've been given. Because I hear that some parts of the world, they're suggesting that you have to have these different health requirements so you can then go and do your jobs that could make you feel just over broke. I mean, you've got an organic nervous system. Your health system is perfectly all right. And so if we get centered, we can actually find that we're able to orientate ourselves and do things that we enjoy rather than squashing ourselves into situations that don't serve us. It's your choice. I'm not here to harp on about it. But this is very much a reflection of what's gone on since since Mars was back with Pluto. So let's go back a whole year. We see that Mars was back retrograde in Aries last October. Wow, this was the opening square to Pluto, and it did it 3 times because it went to the end of Aries, where this full moon is, Mars did, and then it went retrograde back to the middle of Aries, and then it went back forward. As a retrograde is always 3 passes, the opening square to Pluto in Capricorn was 3 times. And so we were really adapting. We were like, accepting, I'll wear a mask anywhere, you know, I'll take a jab anywhere. Please give me a jab, please give me a jab. It's not quite out yet. Oh my gosh. You know, the theatrics of it all. We hear certain things from different types of people, and I don't want to think that anybody's less than. And so the sad thing is that this has become a reality, a bit like a oil spill on the beach of humanity. And we have to deal with it with our loved ones, our friends, new people we meet. We might get to know people, and then we find out, actually, it's a bit like finding people. Do you align with me? I mean, firstly, if you're looking to date someone, we might think, well, we might not have babies, or do you not want to have babies? Do you drink alcohol, or do you not drink alcohol? Do you eat meat? These are personal choices, which you do when you get to know each other to see if you're in alignment. But health was always a private thing. Certainly in the status quo of society that I was brought up, you don't ask people about their health. And so now it's become a public agenda. And this is a very interesting thing. It's very demoralizing, is health. But yet we can empower ourselves to know about our body and our anatomy more and more. And the more that we learn about it, the more that we learn that it's a Christ vehicle. It's a crystal consciousness golden soul chariot. And so it's the chariot of the stars. That's self-empowerment. We don't need to go to a pharmacy. We can recognize that we are the medicine keepers. We've got medicine within our hearts, within our souls, within the soil. Both are the same thing. And so this is a mature time where we get to come back from the corporations and states and come back into our own self-organized situations. Look at this conjunction with what we had in March 22nd. So this is what I was talking about. So basically, it was a conjunction this time of Mars, Pluto, and Jupiter, and it was upon the ingress of Saturn into Aquarius. This is the whole world went into the lockdown, and the corporations, they were ready, weren't they? The corporations, they had the adverts ready. Don't know if they filmed them in 2019. How did they know there was going to be such a thing? They were very organized. They knew their scripts. And so basically we can see that this was just before a new moon. If we look at that conjunction, 24 degrees of Capricorn, that's where Pluto stationed direct, and it was with Jupiter. So we're just going to finalize this story here so you can really recognize the depth of these moments and what it means for us right now. It's a very big time, especially for all projects, business projects. It's not just about the governments. It's not just about our own personal lives, but we can see this in the culture as well, with sporting teams, with movies, all kinds of things. Anyway, so that was the conjunction. It was a triple conjunction almost with Jupiter. So it's really about our beliefs about the structures, our faith that we put into structures, blind faith. We didn't have to close our businesses. We didn't have to go into lockdown. It was a choice, but we really respect all the authorities of the world. So everybody just did it, right? They would just respect the medias. So everybody just did it. So anyway, 4 degrees of Aries in a conjunction with Chiron and the Black Moon Lilith. And as you see, Aries is there as well, square Pluto, as it has been and does for a long time. And so that was all going on. And also it squares the nodes. One interesting thing here I must share with you, not to go too far off piece. Look at where those nodes are. The South Node Ketu in the nakshatra of Mula at 3 degrees of Capricorn. And if we go back 18 years ago, which is a full nodal cycle, what is that thing that they brought out called the pandemic? What was it called? COVID-19. So if we go back 19 years, which is a full nodal cycle, we'll find actually, if we just go back to, if we just bring that node back to 3 degrees of Capricorn, just to have a little look, what was the synchronicity? This is what astrology is all about, right? When you see the synchronicities, let's just look for curiosity's sake. Okay, bring that node back to 3 degrees of Capricorn. Here we go. All right, August 2001. Okay. Wow. What happened the week after that, 2 weeks after? Okay, so the node, so 9/11 took place with the nodes within a degree of where they were when the whole world went on lockdown. That's intrinsic. That's interesting, isn't it? Okay, yes. So let's come back to the present. We've had a lot, you and I, we've been through a lot since we've had Mars go through that conjunction and its 270-degree cycle with Pluto. We're here now, back in the present. You're the gift. That's where we are. So what's our new ideas? What are we revamping after these retrogrades? We've just had Pluto station direct when this lunar cycle began, and it squares the full moon. Saturn station direct a couple of days later, and it was only a couple of days ago that Jupiter stationed direct, and so did Mercury in Libra, where this lunar cycle began. And so Mercury's going to be in shadow until November the 2nd, which is a very interesting date. But regardless, Mercury is opposite Chiron. There's this awkward revelation, which we're integrating at this point. Like all the, what I shared is awkward, but it's empowering. When we recognize how far we've come, we think, well, I can make those other changes that maybe seemed like heavy things to turn over, but they can be done within the closing of this cycle. And so that's just one more look with regards to this, if I can just share with you. So what's going to be this closing of this cycle? Look at Mars now. We go week by week, and we're just focused on that Mars. Well, we're not focusing on it, just looking at it go really quickly. Mars goes round, Venus goes retrograde. We'll talk about that in detail another day. But Mars travels with Venus and then joins with Pluto at 27 degrees. And this happens in March, just before the new moon in Taurus. Oh, excuse me, the new moon in Pisces, which is the last new moon of the zodiac year. And so we start a new Mars-Pluto cycle and a new Venus-Pluto cycle as Venus comes out of shadow at this stage in March. So we've got from now, today, and tomorrow, the full moon in Aries, and the day after, Mars will square Pluto until March the 2nd, when we shall have the beginning of this new moon in Pisces in a conjunction with Jupiter. And that's when we have the new Mars cycle. And it's like we're all out of shadow. Everything's out of shadow at this stage. We're all in new territory, except for Uranus isn't out of shadow. But the Venus retrograde, everything's moving forward. Pluto's moved out of shadow. Saturn has. And even Neptune looks to be out of shadow by this point. And the nodes have changed signs. So basically, I'm telling you that this is the finish line. 5 months. 5 months. That's the finish line. And so when we come back to the present one more time, we see that they've got this opportunity to empower ourselves. It's only going to be until January where most of these big players get out of shadow, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. Because let me just show you that on the screen. They will come out of shadow. Firstly, Jupiter goes into Pisces on December the 28th. And by the middle of January, we have Saturn come out of shadow. And then by the end of January, Pluto is also out of shadow, but Venus goes retrograde. Okay, so that's a bit of the story in the middle, just to give you that clarification. But coming back into this present moment now, we see that Venus, middle of its transit through Sagittarius, when we had the Mercury station a couple of days ago, there was this brilliant opening, and now we're able to see that. It's like we had clarity. We couldn't really act on it because everything was so slowed down. But now everything's going to start to progress forward, and we're able to make these forward maneuvers. And so it's actually that we've just got this opportunity, this opening to see that whatever truth we can synthesize off the back of this full moon is going to be very empowering to us. Right, I'm going to finish with this now. Take a sip of my beverage. Thank you for your presence, sticking about. I'm grateful for you. You're a wonderful audience. I see you in the live chat. Stephen the Jupiterian and Christopher Wakefield. You're all brilliant. I'm grateful for all of you. If you want a personal consultation of me, go on to astrolada.com. The links are in the description box below. Here's some feedback, a testimonial from a happy customer. She says, the most intricate and insightful chart reading I have ever had. And in my 71 years, I've had many. Philip has the ability to see deeply into dimensions most people would overlook. But because of his sensitive nature, Philip understands the underlying rhythms and flow of the cosmos and how they affect your personal journey. If anyone wonders who might give them the most helpful reading in this time of change, Philip would sure be my pick of them all. Wow, thank you. Thank you, Philip, she says. This information will help me through many of life's challenges as they present themselves. So thank you. I'm so thankful to have found you. Well, thank you, Donna. I'm grateful for that lovely feedback. We're going to be going through each of the 12 signs of the zodiac and pulling tarot cards. So thank you for sticking around. I'm grateful for each of you. What's going on with you guys? You know, what's going on? I mean, I've been through the formalities. How are you feeling? I'd love to read your comments if you're watching in a recording. Do you know what? You're appreciated just as much as all these people in the live chat. Although I do see you there. CC Joy and Jennifer Schwab and Anna. I'm grateful for all of you. It's been raining here in Mexico for the past couple of hours. I had planned to go to a yoga class, but now I'm dedicated to doing this. I'm not sure it's going to be happening. I think they might have cancelled it due to the rain anyway. Hey-ho. Zolfaya said, you're a star. Thank you. We are. We are all stars. We are all stars. And this is how we charter our course, is that we take a good observation of our astrological transits in application to our natal chart, and then we empower ourselves to make the most of those energies. Right. This is so exciting, right? The closing square, just this winter to make the most of it. I mean, we're in autumn at the moment. And so the sun's at its full, but it's going to be moving into Scorpio in a couple of days. Oh my goodness gracious, gosh. And then Mars will follow suit. And so we're clearing up a lot of karma. Mars going back into its home sign. Venus is going to go into Capricorn, where it's going to be for 4 or 5 months as well. So we're excited to cover those. If you want any of these transits, as well as those extended transits for Saturn and Jupiter and the transpersonal planets covered, I'm your guy. Give us a message or arrange a mutually beneficial time. I'm here to connect. We'll get you my scheduler, and you can arrange your time to book, and we'll do that online on Zoom. And all of the meetings are recorded, so all the information I share, you actually get to watch it back. And that means that even 6 months down the line, looking at it back, I hear is so valuable. And likewise, obviously, if you want to get in contact, if you want me to host a workshop or anything like that, like I'm doing here, I love doing it. This is so fun. What I put on the back of these worksheets that I printed out, it's like so people can draw their own chart out and learn about the glyphs and stuff like this, as well as teaches people how to go on astro.com, and so they can do each other's charts and all this good stuff. I love what I do, and that was a dream that I hadn't done, but now it has. And so this is proof. If I can live my dreams and interview my favorite astrologers, which I was gazing up and learning from 10 years ago, we can do anything. I'm starting new dreams, a new Jupiter cycle. I wonder what in the next 12 years one can achieve. You can achieve anything when you put your heart to it. Aries, this is your full moon, 27 degrees of Aries. And Mars, your ruling planet, it's in Libra, and it's about to square Pluto the day after the full moon. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Sporting is Aries. I'm a big professional wrestling fan. And the WWE, they're going to Saudi Arabia to do a show. And the last time they went there, they were kept hostage after the show. I wonder what they're going to do, because they're going back there the day after the full moon when Mars squares Pluto on Thursday. Be interesting. I love a bit of that squared circle. Squaring the circle's very occult and astrological, especially all the archetypes that get played in such a theatrical display as professional wrestling. Aries, how are you cutting yourself free? How are you empowering yourself? You might feel small. You're not insignificant. You create it all. You're the great spark. Your ideas, the way that you go after things, the way you pursue your passion and joy, well, you're inspiring to so many people. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for setting yourself on your course. We got 5 of Cups. It's a full moon. Emotional, 'tis these cups. Watery. How can you be very creative with your emotions? How can you empower yourself with your creativity, of your emotional intelligence? Cuts through the old crusty earth, does water. And so you can find the very powerful emotions. Pluto square the moon can cut through any crusty old traditions. You could be a pioneer. I guess you are, aren't you, Aries? But it's about a very big reflection that's coming up for you, right? Mars in Libra, it's a very reflective sign. We just look at the sunset, don't we? It reflects so much. I mean, we gain so much truth in reflection. We are miracles, of course. Whether they're our lovers, whether they're our colleagues, whether they're our family members, truth is that which we seize. Aries, you're the judgment call. Very Libra, isn't it? Very Mars and Libra. You're the judge, jury, and executioner. Are you cutting yourself short, or are you empowering yourself to the gold of your soul? You're worthy, Aries. Recognize. Bite the dust. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change that you can seize the greatest opportunities with in the world. You're worthy, Aries. 5 of Cups, the lovers, and judgment for the full moon in Aries at 27 degrees of your first house. Next, for your ascending sign or your moon sign or your sunshine, we got Taurus. And this is a full moon at 27 degrees of Aries. And it's in your 12th house of endings at Taurus, completions. And so this can be a very powerful completion for you. Your ruling planet's Venus currently in Sagittarius at this moment in time, which is your 8th house. I mean, it's just like it comes out of, Venus comes out of Scorpio and then it goes into your 8th house. And so it's like, can you get a break? It's like you're just trying to be born again and again. Well, this is a grand opportunity to see where we even can be a hindrance to ourselves. Where can you include yourself, or maybe you had excluded yourself, put somebody above yourself or something above you. Recognize your talents and exclude any old belief systems that you had to be a certain way. You're the way. It's within you. Christ. You know, crystallizing your consciousness is a timeless affair. But this is an ending which can cut you free from maybe something which has been going on since beyond time. Very fortunate is these opportunities to remove our blockages. X marks the spot for you, Taurus. Your perception counts. Recognize that you're worthy. If you feel that you're not, that's something to get clear on and undo, because you are. You are worthy. You're not worthy of being treated in ways that you don't like. So ensure that you're in situations that bring you the greatest fortune and excuse yourself from anything that makes you feel squeezed. You're worthy of sharing your wisdom and having the deepest, richest of connections, because you're quantifiably rich. The Wheel of Fortune and the Seven of Swords. It's a Libra lunar cycle, isn't it? Remember? This opposition, it's very seven-y. Bountiful can be the changes. I see you, Christopher. Thank you for your contributions. And Spiritual 911. We're all grateful for the live chat. Gemini, this is a full moon at 27 degrees of Aries. And it is at 11 degrees. Your ruling planet Mercury to station direct in Libra, 180 degrees almost across the way from Chiron. It's about 179 degrees, 181 degrees. And so there's this recognition of awkwardness and healing, and even the opportunity to be a little bit different, a little bit quirky, a little bit away, a little bit doing it your way, sharing your brilliance, the way that maybe has never been done before, kind of a bit like a maverick you could consider. And so you're recognizing, Gemini, that this is about your creativity and how you can find that your genius is in showing that you can connect with people. Obviously, you're the bridge builder. But when you attune yourself to your bridge, you've got to do it your way, right? You've got to do it. It's your way or the highway. It's an Aries full moon. And so where can you let go of identifications with old community affairs, old spheres of influence? How can you be a leading role within community? How can you establish yourself? This is funny because, as I said, new moons are all often about, full moons often about completions. But Aries is the first, about beginnings. This is for everybody, right? So this is clearing the way for our new beginnings. The year of the ox clears the way, and yet it has a lot of doubt. It doubts that the way shall be cleared. The way is, as Christ said, within us, within you, within me. We're just clearing our interior. We haven't even gazed in there, have we? Until we went kind of opened up to that kind of conception, built the rapport, anchored that kind of loving frequency inside of ourselves. And so Mercury for Gemini, stationed opposite Chiron with this full moon in Aries at 27 degrees square Pluto in your 8th house. Goodness gracious me. How can you be the authority within your relationships, within your community? And be very productive within your creativity. Infinitely productive, even though there may be emotional situations. You can ensure that you can bank on your own value. You can bank on your own creativity and lead with the changes that which you would most like to be and see in the world. You've got this. You'll be out of shadow by 2nd of November, and Mercury will fly off into Scorpio in your 6th house. Gemini, full moon in your 11th house, 27 degrees of Aries. You've got the Emperor and the 2 of Pentacles. Infinitely you can lead with that which you say you shall do, and you will go and do it. I haven't got doubts at all about it. Even though there may be emotional stuff which you're nurturing inside. Maybe that's your creative gusto. Cancer. Well, you're ruled by the moon, and it's full almost. It's not yet. It's probably about 15 hours. And then it will be full at 27 degrees of Aries, and it's at the top of your sky. Aries is the 10th house for Cancer, cardinal sign. And so we've got a cardinal T-square. The only thing that we haven't got cardinal stuff, a placement in, is Cancer, and you're the moon. So this is interesting. It's really about your roots and your role in the world and how you feel seen, how you set the scene, how you can actually change it by flashing through, feeling emotions about things that are going on in your family or your status in the world there, Cancer. And so very powerful. Mars at the bottom of the sky, you know, it's opposite this kind of Eris moon energy that's going on. I even hear that the asteroid Horus is up there. And that I'm going to give a shout out to Apparel Astrologer. If I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, Apparel, for mentioning that Horus, the asteroid, is out there by Eris. It's actually closer to the moon. And this Horus is Seth. It is Malachi. It stole the eye. The governments try and steal your eye. No one can steal your joy. Why? Because it's who you are. You don't need me to remind you. This is for everybody, you know. It's not just for Cancer. And so when we're going after our joy, we're going after the kid. We're being the ram. We're being the spark. We're being that which excites us, that which gets us up in the morning to go and do what you want to do because you're here to do it for you. Now that is the way to really orientate ourselves. That's the I which I am. That's who we all are, right? Yeah, that's being centered. Well, nobody can steal that. Because that's our gift, that's our presence. Even the pressure from all these different constituencies, corporations, World Health Organizations, those guys, all of the pressure from all of that claptrap has really crystallized our consciousness and reminded us who we are, because we are empowered when we recognize that we are that I am, because we can do anything, even if we feel like just the new kid on the block, just a little old me. We're able. We're able indeed. And so, Cancer, full moon, top of your sky, you're all but the moon. This is about your reflection of yourself in the world. It's the Lovers card again. And so it obviously is in the polarity of the Lovers, in a way, Aries and Libra. But there's so much more depth to this, isn't it? It's not just about the surface level when you fall in love. You don't want to fall in love at all. You want to raise the frequency. You want to come into a harmonic, which is of equality. And that's with all types of different relationships, whether it's your children, whether it's your parents, whether it's the government or wherever you were investing in, whatever you're investing in, whatever community affair, whatever kind of structural support system, whether it's a technology, whether it's even like a hobby or a craft, you want to get something back from it. You want to invest in yourself. All the greatest people who have made the most money in the world don't make money because money's great. They make money because it gains you power and time. What investors do. So invest in yourself and recognize that these people that you're connecting with reveal so much about you. Cancer. This is about how you establish yourself in the world. This is about how you recognize that you are worthy. This is the full moon in the top of your sky. You also got the Hanged Man. Surrender. Sometimes you don't need to be like the activator of things. You can be the temperance holder. You can be the space holder for the fallout. You know, there's eruptions going on. Not just talking about like the war zone of all the different things. I don't watch the news. All of the TV tells you lies to your visions. Seen enough of it when I was a kid, right? But often it's our shadows which come out that are reflected to us, whether it's through the TV, even with our relationships to the world. It could be about a relationship to the guitar, smash it, can't learn that song, whatever it is. We find that our tail pops out because it's our story. It's our root chakra. It's that volcanic, it's plutonic. However, we're here to surrender and gain illumination and empower ourselves, not to exclude it, but to include it. All inclusive is the love, that which you are, wholeness. You're worthy. Cancer, this is a full moon for you in the top of your sky in your 10th house in Aries at 27 degrees in a conjunction with Horus and Eris, squaring Pluto opposite Mars. And we've got the Lovers card and the Hanged Man. Surrender to your reflection. You know, the Temperance. I know that didn't come up, but the Temperance is about emotional chemistry, alchemical love. It's like, hey, I can show someone love sometimes just by putting my hand next to them. Maybe you make them a cup of tea. I don't know what you do, Cancer, but you've got that kind of, you know, special touch, the family nurturing touch, compassionate intelligence, and we appreciate you. I see you in the live chat, Fuzzy Wuzzy and Teresa And Ray L, I'm grateful for you. And Maya, Richie, you are appreciated. And Valdari and Maya, I'm grateful for all of you. You're brilliant, each and every single one of you. Thanks for giving this video a thumbs up if you feel the needs to. Thanks for sharing it with a friend if you feel that they will be intrigued as well. I'm grateful for all of you. Let me just take a sip of my beverage and we'll continue on. What we got next? We're gonna have Leo, isn't it? You can't hear me, someone says. El Ray, is that because the microphone's cut out? Can you tell me if there's any audio issues? Let me know. I'll be able to fix it. Jennifer, I'm grateful. And Miss Sunshine, you're all brilliant. Thank you, Ray L and El Ray. You're all brilliant. In your own way. You know, we're unique. This is why sometimes we don't fit into established status quos. And so don't look for the recognition outside because you're the one to recognize yourself. Empower yourself, just like what Pluto and Mars represent. But also about connecting with people and establishing a common ground of unity with regards to our projects and our community. I love you, Taco, in Wolverhampton. You're fantastic. Thank you for being present. Okay, next we got Leo, all right? The sun is at full in Libra. It's the autumn period, and astrologically, it's its least favorite sign, but it spends 30 days there every 360, every annual cycle. And so it must be there for a reason. And every Libra person who's got their solar return doesn't mean that they're tough, doesn't mean that they're not good. You know, we've all got planets at full, and we've all got planets that are in better positions. And sometimes the ones at full are where we reach our greatest expertise. And so you don't have to feel bad about it if you've got your planets at full. We're all irreplaceable. Isn't that true, Catherine? I'm grateful for you. Wellingborough. Oh, that's a very cool place. I've never been there, but it sounds good. Right, Leo. So this is the sunshine. It's going to be going into Scorpio in a few days' time. So, you know, we've been through this opportunity. And I met a Leo person earlier, and I said to them, well, do you feel a little bit unrecognized right now? Do you feel a little bit like maybe you've been giving and sharing, like the sun always gives and shares, but actually now that the days are getting more long, the dark than they are long and bright in the Northern Hemisphere, in the Western world, if you will. And so basically we're having the opportunity to recognize the dissemination of light, the dissemination of illusions. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. But at the same time, astrologically, Leo would be feeling with the transit of the sun to the third house that maybe in their communications there's a breakdown. There's not this feedback coming back as much as they are giving. But that will change. You just got to go back down into Scorpio, scoop up a bit of that self-nurturing love, and remember who you are, and you'll be absolutely fine. The cards that's come out just came out straight away here for you guys. This is a full moon in your ninth house of belief systems. It's BS. And so basically you can recognize these things are sometimes what we carry with us since we are a kid. Yeah, you got to be kidding. No joke, honestly. It's actually all within us all. And what we got is the end of these doubts, the end of these thoughts, the end of the cycle for you guys. This is powerful. We got 10 swords and the star. So this is very empowering about really lights off, lights on. It's like a flash of genius. You might have a sudden awareness, a bit of clarity that you gain through some kind of connection, or maybe it's a break from some kind of connection and you come back to something. It's rejuvenation for you there, Leo. Very powerful. Obviously, you're ruled by the sun next to Mars. Dun, dun, dun. Must have been intense. You're both going to make ingress into Scorpio, and the Mars and the sun will travel together for a little while yet. And so we can recognize this is a very powerful time, right? We also got the 5 of Wands. And so the full moon in Leo, as I say, it's very activated. You've got Venus in your 5th house at this time. So you can find that there's great opportunities for you to see the value in your creativity. You always do see it, but maybe you might feel other people don't see it. Everything's going on the underbelly of your chart. Everything's on the interior, the bottom half of the chart for you, Leo. So you know what you've got to do best, and that's toot your own horn, play your own trumpet, be your own #1 fan, and burn from the inside out. Burn, baby, burn with your own creativity. You enjoy it, and everybody else does too. And you're beaming light, your solar system from the inside out. This is the solar plexus, the heart, just as like radiant. You know, it just beams. So thank you for beaming. I'm grateful. You are appreciated. Just sometimes other people, you know, they don't know how to do it just as much as you do. So thank you for showing up as a sunshine, as an advocate for being a star every single day. You're worthy. We got the 10 of Swords, packing up and closing down those outdated ideas, those limiting ideas, and coming into your genius and coming into the identification and enthusiasm of your creativity. Full moon in your 9th house, 27 degrees of Aries opposite the sun, still in Libra for a couple more days yet. Jolly Canna, I'm grateful for you. Enjoy. Bowling for soup. And where in Mexico? Tulum, Mexico is where I am at the moment. I have visited Oaxaca, though. And that's from Maya. Excuse me if I'm not saying your name correctly there. I'll just book in a few guitar lessons, a few Spanish lessons. I've got to up my game. I've been here for a year, trying to learn the lingo a little bit. I feel a little bit more like a local. Got lost on a bike the other day. You know, it's all fun and games, swings and roundabouts. I see you there, Jenna. Thank you for your presence. All of you guys getting high over there in the live chat. Well, I appreciate you. Okay, next we got Virgo. Virgo, you're ruled by Mercury. Mercury's just stationed direct, right? Yes. Mercury just stationed direct in your 2nd house in Libra, opposite Chiron. And so this is about this opposition to Chiron in your 8th house where the full moon is taking place, which is very powerful, with Mars transit through your 2nd with the sun opposite the full moon. You might be like, I value this person, but really it's hard work. I value this collaboration, but gosh, it's really making me face myself. I value this enterprise, but it's really making me come into entering the prize of myself. Yeah. You're really recognizing that even though things can be combative, even though there can be opposition, there can be so many benefactors there, Virgo, because you're the hermeticist. Yes, you burn with love from the inside out. So you can show them. You don't have to tell them. You can show them by being the way that you would like to be loved. And if someone's not meeting your standards, if someone's not meeting your expectations, maybe let them know. Let them know by showing them how you like to be loved. And if they don't meet you, maybe it's a time to break free. Maybe it's a permission slip, you see. But you can recognize also that the Pluto square is to your 5th house. How can you empower yourself by putting creative boundaries into place? Maybe it is with your work or your projects or your enthusiasm, crafts or joy. It's certainly about your value, because that's where the sun, Mars, and Mercury, your ruling planet, it's transit. It's going to be making its 3rd pass until the 2nd of November. Remember, by the 5th, it's going to make its ingress into your 3rd house of chit-chat communication. Venus also makes ingress into Capricorn that day. Anyway, full moon, 8th house, woo, completion phases and new beginnings for you, Aries. Excuse me, for you, Virgo. So, very nice indeed. Oh. We got the ace. You had it all along, right? It's just a flush through. It's like, wow, what a rush. This emotion is your greatest guide. Make sure you're nourished from inside. Why? Your perspective counts. Count yourself included. Ride the current of your own observations. Honor your emotions. Honor them. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've been negligent. Maybe you put other people's emotions or importance above your own. Maybe you put work above your own emotional fortitude. Recognize your value and speak to yourself with love, because you are worthy of being able to receive a loving voice, a connection that ensures that you are recognizing your worth. 2nd house shall Mercury be for a little while yet, but this full moon in your 8th house releases old emotional spaces that had been stagnant for you. So, very nice. We've got the Ace of Cups and the 7 of Swords again. And that's for Virgo, full moon in your 8th house. I see you free and happy. I'm grateful for you. And Richie Hernandez, thank you for your continued chit-chats. You're all brilliant. I'm grateful for each one of you. Antonia. Next, we got Libra. Oh, yes. This is where this lunar cycle began, way back in Libra. Happy solar return to you guys. We still got Mars and Mercury, as mentioned, in Libra for a little while yet. Everything would have cleared through by November the 2nd. Your ruling planet, Venus, is still there in Sagittarius for a little while. Yeah, I think it's actually until the 5th of November, makes ingress into Capricorn. And so enjoy this invigorating, inspirational energy. We're altering the belief systems about our perception and our values. So much so, this is a full moon in your 7th house. You're the 7th sign. This is your lunar cycle. And yet the sun opposite the moon at 27 degrees of Aries in a square to Pluto at 24 degrees of Capricorn suggests there's some big changes that are coming up from the roots of your story. There's some big changes coming up in the family or maybe your home setup. Maybe you can support yourself in a more strong foundation of love, and maybe you are going to be supportive moving forward because you've recognized where you need to meet certain standards so that you can show up as your greatest version for yourself as well as for all of those around you. Your most valuable, fortuitous, worthy expression of who you are. And this means putting enough eggs in your own basket as well as those on the other side, those out here in the world, because you are the center of your experience. And this is imperative that we remember. There's a reason why the cosmology is all mucked up. There's a reason why they put so many different distractions, because they take us off our groove. And you're the frequency holder, you're the space holder, and your impact is important in the world. Don't put yourself second. Libra, full moon in the 7th house. Releasing about all those types of doubts through emotional reflections of your connection to other people. Other peepholes of the divine reflect your nature, and it can be nurturing or it can be something that you're dismantling within you, where you can love yourself more inside. 2 of Cups. But when you do that, you hold a space central within your heart, knowing that you are within your creativity, knowing that you are worthy. The Lord of Command, regal. The sun is in your sign. You are the king. You are here also able to recognize that you are able to be a creator being. You're able to recreate a story. You're able to be able to love yourself and let go of anything that doesn't serve you anymore. Support yourself emotionally from the inside as well as others on the outside. The King of Wands and the 2 of Cups. The full moon in your 7th house, 27 degrees of Aries. This is for Libra. It's very nice. I like that. I worship God. You are Joshua. I appreciate you in the live chat. And Julia and Stoic. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Next, we got Scorpio. It's going to be very exciting. All of this energy for you, Scorpio folks, is coming through your 12th house. We're going to be within a 12th house lunar cycle for you folks until the 4th of November, something like this. Obviously, the sun ingresses into your sign very shortly in a couple of days' time. Mars will follow suit, and it's your ruling planet. So Mars in your 12th house at this time, making a square to your other ruling planet, Pluto, Lord of the Underworld. And so it's like the warrior spirit and the Lord of the Underworld facing off on this closing square of which cycle began when the whole world went on lockdown. And so this is a big deal for Scorpio. This is about recognizing how we can bring endings to old layers of our perception, old ways of communicating to self. Maybe we've been a bit harsh on ourselves in some way, shape or form, and we can be opening up to a lot more love and compassion. We can recognize that we're worthy of receiving our own soft, gentle, compassionate words and frequencies, anchoring that dialogue, connecting with that self-inner monologue, dialing in to being self-honoring with ourselves. 12th house is where the lunar cycle began. And this full moon, well, it'll be in Aries at 27 degrees of your 6th house of media and health, mental health. This world is mental. It's important that we wake up and we speak to ourselves lovingly. I was very loving this morning to me. I even told myself I love myself this morning. And I must say, out of all of the days that we've had this year, it must only be a handful that actually happens out loud, right? And so we recognize that we can anchor, like a news anchor, all of these messages and frequencies in our day-to-day practices. The more that we do it, the tighter relationship that we can moor ourselves to the embankment of our own self-security. Goodness gracious, Scorpio. This is about recognizing that, yes, you can got a special sensory perception, a depth, which is second to none. You're nocturnal. And yet, this is empowering. And so let me see what's going on. Wow, it didn't take long for that to take place. This is about a new path. As I say, lots of endings, completions, and lots of renewal. This is the Aries full moon, which is about new beginnings in your work, in your body, in your health, in the way that you speak to yourself, as well as all of the self-identifications that are going to be coming through with Scorpio season, with the Sun and Mars, and eventually even Mercury by the 5th of November as well. Massive changes, a whole new path. You're leading it, you're cultivating it, but also this is about the metamorphosis, the change of communication and perspective about your other people that you're collaborating with. You might think, oh, they don't see me, or you might think that they are people that you have to cut yourself free from, but maybe it's just about this idea, assumption it could be. Communication makes clarity. When we assume, it makes an ass out of you and I, because we just pin our old tales, our old stories, which are often outdated, onto whoever fits the canvas of our projection. We make them our pet projection. So Scorpio, Ace of Wands, and the 8, powerful metamorphosis of your communication and perception of your collaborations. 8 of Swords. For the full moon in Aries, in a T-square with Pluto, your ruling planet, in your 3rd house. So this full moon's actually in your 6th house, as I say, of health. You could be like, I've just cleared a health scenario. I've just got free of a work project. I've just set myself up with this whole new role, or this whole new pattern, a whole new pattern of speaking to myself with love and activating my joy in my day-to-day spirit experiences. Next, we got Sagittarius. Well, just the same day as Mercury stationed direct, we had Jupiter stationed direct at 22 degrees of Aquarius. It was at this space in May this year, and it went all the way into Pisces to 2 degrees before it went retrograde, and then it's come back, and it will be back in Pisces by December the 28th, and out of shadow by the 6th or something like that, the 6th of January. And so we got the opportunity to make the most of these connections. Jupiter's kind of slow right now, but it's going to pick up, and it's going to be in a more fortuitous, empowered position in the coming weeks. It's much better now it's moving direct. And so we can make the most of that. It's in your 3rd house at the moment. It will be going back to the 4th house. And so that's very intriguing. You've got the time to work on these different belief systems about your connections. They're Sagittarius, but you currently got Venus transit your 1st house, and this full moon's in your 5th house. Full moon in Aries, 27 degrees of your 5th house. It's that maybe have come into a completion of some kind of project. You might feel that you're pregnant with some creative thing that you've been laboring away at, nursing away at, putting your emotional energy into for quite some time. And you get to be like the fruit falling from the tree at this stage. Capricorn, where Pluto is, where it has a T-square to this full moon, is the very valuable tree, or the expression of that which you've got to release into the world. Whereas the Sun and Mars are way back in your 11th house. And so it might be that you're working with connections and community and all these types of things. And your belief system about the different people, how they feel and perceive you and community. Oh, no. So, yeah, it's a full lunation. You're harboring something emotional and big, you know, like our personal projects. They are our children, and we are the parents of them. And so you might be like about to burst. And so this is very valuable for you. If you think about power, the Pluto pent-up power in your 2nd house in a T-square of this full moon, and the Sun in your 11th, this is about recognizing there's going to be a lot of change. When you give birth to a baby, or I interviewed an astrologer on my YouTube channel earlier, and she's just given birth to a book. And so it's like, well, you've got to take care of the book. You've got to go do the book signing. You've got to go and harbour the book on the bookshelf, all of these different things. It's exciting, just like when having a new baby. So all change in the world. All change in the world. Anything that was stagnant can flush through as you move into the Scorpio season, which will be your 12th house, which won't be very long. It's going to be that the Sun rolls in there very shortly. Mars will follow suit, right? So you're going to deal with some endings, and, you know, you'll be revived. Don't you doubt it. You'll be revived, obviously, when planets start rolling into Sagittarius after this Scorpion lunar cycle. But for now, focus on laboring. Focus on birthing. Focus on cutting yourself free from the old doubts and recognizing your value. Your value is irreplaceable. Sagittarius, you're a guru. Whatever impacts upon you, Well, it only makes you stronger. The world and the moon. Rochelle says, yes, yes, yes. That's the attitude. That's the spirit. I'm grateful for you. Let me take a sip of my beverage. We've got 3 more to do. Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Zena, thank you for your presence. Dun, 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 dun. Capricorn, Pluto, stationed direct at the beginning of this lunar cycle, and it's at 24 degrees of your first house, right at the end. Those old traditions that hang in by a thread. A thread? What's a thread? It's an old story, isn't it? It's an old message. And so we can recognize there's much change going on. Your ruling planet Saturn also stationed direct within this lunar cycle in your second house of value in Aquarius at 6 degrees. It shall be that it's in shadow until about January 15th. It went up to 14 degrees of Aquarius, and it will be out of shadow by January. So you can recognize you've got a little bit of time to reassure yourself, to bank on yourself, to found a love within your value, whatever that is. I'm a Capricorn, right? And so for me, I'm doing these things, like these workshops, like getting websites set up, so it's just like a place where people can find me. Think of like that, you know, doing these guitar lessons. This is like working on talents and investing in self. So your Capricorn energy, whether you're an ascendant, which I'm not, whether you're a moon, which I'm not, or whether you're a sunshine, I am that I am, then you are able to empower yourself in this way with the full moon taking place, Capricorn, in your 4th house. How can you nurture yourself? Remember, you're the kid that grew up a little bit quick, Benjamin Button. You're to take responsibility for those elders like an adult from an early age. And so how can you recognize that you can empower yourself to time and give yourself the credit that allows you to do things that you enjoy right here, right now? That's why we work so hard, isn't it? So that we can do that. Yes. That's why we work so hard, so we can buy our time back, because we're from beyond time, aren't we? We're the authors of our story. This is what the deepest, empowered version of Capricorn is. And so thank you for honoring that, recognizing the sun transit in Libra, top of your sky at the moment. It's about to go into your 11th house. This is a very kind of busy time. But at the same time, we can recognize with Mars opposite there, it's an active time of being present in the world, as well as having a personal space going on for you too. So you've got the core strength. Core! Blimey, Capricorn. You've got the core strength. Infinite amounts of it. Sometimes it's fear, anger, frustration, heartache, and upset that can give us such fury that we get courage. Because it makes us angry, the rage, the burning embers at the bottom of the fire just before it goes out. And then you're like, I've got the core courage, which is love in action. Love petrified in fear doesn't act, it stops. But love in action is like the Aries energy, it's courage. And so you've got the courageous determination to activate your core strength. A transmutation 8 is this card, the 8th major arcana. It's a very empowered card, and it's infinite strength, which you bestow to keep going, to continue on. You're a powerhouse, Capricorn, goodness. So your emotional depth is really where it's all at. You know, you've got Cancer on the flip side, haven't you, Rick? This is the full moon in your 4th house. Temperance is key with family matters, with professional life, with your own comfort zone, with your own personal projects, with your value. You've got this. Look at this. Double major arcana. Strength, temperance. You're the alchemist and the boss and the creator. You got this. I'm grateful for you, Earth Angel and S. Thank you. As well as Hagu How. You did miss Gemini Rising. However, maybe we'll get these timestamps and you can go back and watch that. We're on Aquarius and Pisces next. Aquarius. This is a full moon in Aries in your 3rd house of communication, It's the bridge of connection. It's how we hear ourselves. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and you're like, oh, I just heard myself from another perspective, another angle, a witness perspective, and I didn't really recognize that I was thinking or perceiving or expressing myself in that way? Well, you can recognize that here. And in the third house transit, it's about recognizing your sense of self. Of this full moon, it's that releasing its old emotional perception of self. Maybe it was a reflection of who you were told you had to be, or who you thought that you had to be, or who you felt that you were when you were with the family, that's coming back up. And it's about the subconscious, because this full moon squares Pluto, which is actually in your 12th house for a little while yet, and in Capricorn. And we also obviously have the sun in your 9th house. So it's about these belief systems that we had since we were a kid, which affect our subconscious, that we have to be a certain way. It's like, you can't sit on YouTube with your knee there. You can't wear red. Whatever these belief systems that they are, they're BS. And so you're here to recognize that you can empower yourself, Aquarius, to this. Your ruling planet Saturn stationed direct in your 1st house. And as we've already mentioned, it'll be out of retrograde by January 15th. Moving back to 13, 14 degrees, as well as your modern day ruling planet Uranus, retrograde, currently at 12, 13 degrees of Taurus at the bottom of your sky. Again, this is about flipping the script and recognizing your own genius in your home space. Some of the family stories aren't your stories, but you can connect in yourself as you reconnect to your tribe. In community right now, very powerful. You've got Jupiter in the 1st house as well at this moment. So this is a very powerful time for you in changing and altering those belief systems, as we've just said. What we got is this 10 swords again. The old identifications, the old intellectual rapport. This is about letting go of the thoughts that swayed you this way or swayed you that way. They persuaded you this way, they persuaded you that way, twist your arm backwards. It's about not thinking so much, accepting. When we accept ourselves, we actually can breathe into our expansion, you know, breathe into our contentment, activate who we are, remember our dignified nature. Aries, full moon in your 3rd house. Maybe you need to breathe. That's a key. It's a frequency. Hold up and breathe and open up to the love that you seek. The warrior doesn't react, doesn't retaliate. It accepts, and it stands in the face of inferiority and loves the flip out of whatever's calling for reaction. And it mirrors the love that which it seeks, and it bees that love. That's high intelligent, that's high octave love. If you do react, that's okay as well. Don't beat yourself up about it. We all do sometimes. That's okay. Sometimes things need to come up to be addressed, but they often, the address is back here. Return back to sender. Take responsibility and respond to self with love. You got this. Close down those old stories. You've got the 10 swords and the Emperor for the full moon in your 3rd house. Thank you, Honey York. I'm appreciative of you guys in the live chat. We're coming to Pisces now. Pisces, this is fun for you guys. We got Jupiter, your ruling planet. It's gone back. It's gone back. It's coming back. It's coming back for good. Coming back for you, but not until December the 28th. So you've got this 12th house transit of Saturn for a couple more years, as well, for 18 months, as well as Jupiter, which is your ruling planet, until December, still in your 12th. But this full moon is all about your value and the activation of who you are. It's in your 2nd house of expression. It's in your 2nd house of talents. Talents are fortuitous. They mean that in Latin. And so they open up our fortuitous portholes to the future, which are just the next endeavor. They're not some future. It's always now. It's your presence. So when you activate your presence, Pisces, you're recognizing you are having the opportunity to disconnect from expectations and the need to be there for others. It's a theme. You're being handed back the baton, the torch. You're being handed back a permission slip to do things for you first and to show how love self first. This is a whole new activation. Eventually, Jupiter will go into Aries next year, into your 2nd house, just like where this full moon is. You're clearing emotional debris to say that you are able and you are permitted to alleviate yourself from situations where you would be devoted to others first before self, which isn't what love would do. If you want to teach, if you want to reveal, if you want to display love, you got to do it for you too first. So this is very interesting. This is the way I see it. Woo! What cards we got here? The Judgment card again. Your perception. It's about feeling the weight. Sometimes when we're holding a lot of weight that we haven't released, it can hold up our manifestations. It could be like they're waiting around to come in, just waiting for us to feel our self-worth, waiting for us to release those blockages. Well, this is a very grand time for that. And so you can recognize that this is very powerful. Second house, full moon, Two of Cups, and the Judgment card. Put yourself exactly where you're meant to be, in high esteem, deep, loving frequencies of self-activation. Stop persecuting yourself for not having done good enough. You are so worthy. You always do your best. Be compassionate with yourself as you would be with others. And release yourself from anything that doesn't serve you. Judgment and the Two of Cups for Pisces. Very powerful. And so you can be finding so many clearances, so many permission slips. You may be getting clear on the way, and that's you. This is our time of empowerment, and I'm grateful for each and every single one of you. Samadhi, the Oracle, I'm grateful for you. Kyla and Shashka, thank you each for being present here. Whether you've watched this in a live presentation today, or whether you watch it in a recording, we are all very much here in the same boat. We are all equals. We're all miracles. And I'm grateful for you. If you want a personal consultation of me, you can get hold of me, astrolada.com. I'm here to serve you. Book your consultation, follow the links, and I'll be excited to connect with you on Zoom. Other than that, honor yourself. The full moon tomorrow, take a load off. Take the weight off and manifest fast. The time and the change is going to be rapid. Love yourself. Hold yourself with love. You are worthy. Activate your joy. I'm grateful for you. Have a fantastic selection of moments, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Cheerio.